Hey guys, Maddie here with Altcoin Buzz. Hope you're having a terrific Tuesday. We're looking at the Bitcoin charts here as BTC seems to be making an attempt as it climbs back up toward 50K, and whether or not we get back up there today or tomorrow or this week or next week or whatever, we'll get back there eventually. And to that point, we're going to be discussing all of the positive macro news at the end of this video, including new ETF news, including new macro adoption news. There's a lot of positives here that I think has spurred the market. But I do want to take some time to discuss a couple of our favorite projects, including THETA here. We're going to be discussing some THETA Mainnet news. THETA is on the verge of new all-time highs, performing very, very well in anticipation of a couple of news items that we're going to be discussing. And Enjin deserves to be celebrated because, oh my goodness, has Enjin ever been on a tear? Hitting new all-time highs of about 87 cents or so. Won't be long, in my opinion, before Enjin is up above $1. Guys, in today's video, we're going to be covering all kinds of altcoin developments, including Crypto.com CRO Elrond. We're going to be discussing THETA, as I mentioned. We're going to be discussing Chainlink, Kyber Network, Kucoin, that's KCS shares, and others. Of course, if you like this kind of content, Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and altcoins, be sure to like and subscribe to Altcoin Buzz. All right, let's kick things off with one of our favorites here, Enjin coin ticker ENJ, up over 80 cents right now. That's up over 31% on the day. We've been devotees of this project since it was like in the low pennies range. I'm talking a couple of pennies here. Very happy to see Enjin and the broader team of that project reaching a new all-time high market cap right now, up above $700 billion, hitting a new all-time high earlier today, according to CoinGecko.com, of 86.7 cents. I mean, what's not to like about this project? NFTs, gaming, it's got an unbelievably bright future ahead. Check out, by the way, our Enjin video in which we break down 10 reasons why Enjin ought to be on your radar if you haven't seen that one already. So there you have it. Of course, not financial advice, but if Enjin isn't already on your radar, perhaps that is something to consider. Crypto.com, moving right along, has some big news here and some updates at Crypto.com on Twitter. We're thrilled to announce that Crypto.com is now an official global partner of the Aston Martin F1 Cognizant Formula One team, Team Crypto.com. Read our joint announcement on blog.crypto.com. But before that, we have Chris Marcellik here weighing in. Crypto.com is proud to support Aston Martin's return to F1. Both brands share a passion for technology and speed, and we're going to work closely together to bring unique experiences to crypto traders and fans of the sport. 2021 is going to be the year crypto goes mainstream. I absolutely agree with that. Crypto.com, after a little bit of a drop following that exuberance with the news of the 70% token burn, right? 70 billion CRO burned. That sparked a lot of positive price action, and then we saw a retracement along with the rest of the market. But now CRO up 6.2% in the last 24 hours, up above 15 cents right now. Currently, with that ecosystem that just continues and continues to grow, this certainly won't hurt. Crypto.com partners with Aston Martin Cognizant Formula One team. Check this out. We'll link to it in the description below. Benjamin Minsu here with Elrond news. The ability for capital to flow unconstrained by region, technology, or denomination is key to making the Internet of Money a reality. Introducing automated cross-chain DeFi opportunities for the EGLD ecosystem via Nord Finance. Hashtag hypergrowth100 day 57. And Elrond, ticker EGLD, up a couple of percentage points today, up above $141 with this news no doubt helping. So automated cross-chain DeFi opportunities for the EGLD ecosystem via Nord Finance. And this news coming late yesterday on the 1st of March, courtesy of Input Output. So that's at Input Output HK. It's a bit of a longer, not that long actually, but it's a thread that's discussing the Mary protocol update for Cardano. So if you missed this, we will link to it in the description below. But that was kind of yesterday's news, to be fair. So we're going to move right along to ANKR news here at ANKR, ANKR. Now you can stake ETH using ANKR staking on Binance Smart Chain. It's faster, easier, and cheaper than ever before. You can read all about it here. ANKR doing quite well, up over 7% on the day to a little over 3 pennies right now. Again, that's ticker ANKR. You can read about that development here on medium.com. ETH staking for Binance Smart Chain is now live on ANKR. Moving right along here, IOST. Today, they're joining the unique Japan-based hash palette blockchain network, which aims to optimize for the distribution of content using NFT and enhance the global distribution of content from Japan to the world. More about that here on medium.com. IOST partners Japan-based hash palette to optimize NFTs for global users. Okay. THETA network here. Now we're getting into the big, juicy mainnet news. THETA Mainnet 3.0 is coming April 21st, and we're already seeing the price appreciation for something that is still like 6 weeks away, almost 7 weeks. Start running an edge node today on thetatoken.org, and stay tuned for more updates on the road to Mainnet 3.0. So again, THETA Mainnet 3.0 introducing T-Fuel staking and uptime mining. It's happening in 50 days and 12 hours, at least since the time of this tweet, depending on when you're watching. The price appreciation of THETA network, which is a juggernaut, even though it's a monster currently, as per my previous opinion, THETA is still a sleeping giant. Maybe it's an ogre right now, but it's going to be a leviathan or a titan in the future. It has everything going for it, and it's just a perfect pragmatic use case for what is itself a massively growing sector, that is video streaming technology. So up 16% on the day, $3.78. Let's take a look at THETA's all-time high. Yeah, so that was on the 20th of February, kind of before this last market correction, if you want to call it. $3.93, according to CoinGecko.com, was THETA's previous all-time high. I have a feeling that we're going to get up above that, maybe even today, but if not in the next few days, certainly before the 21st of April. Big things, big enthusiasm, big news coming our way courtesy of THETA in the very near future. Give us a like below if you're a fan of THETA, because you guys know I certainly am. Badger DAO here in the news. New product incoming. Badger is proud to announce an integration with Ren VM. This new product, the Badger Bridge, will give DeFi users direct access to bringing their native Bitcoin onto the Badger V2 app. More info here on badgerdao.medium.com. Badger DAO launches BTC Bridge with Ren VM. Compound Labs, they're in the news here, at Compound Finance on Twitter. This is from yesterday. We're proud to announce a prototype based on the Compound Chain white paper. Gateway is a substrate blockchain upgradable by comp token holders on Ethereum without forks or downtime. Validators earn a portion of all interest, an incentive, of course, that scales with the growth of Gateway. So if this is something that interests you from a passive income point of view, check out this article on medium.com introducing Gateway. Labs Group here. Here's another big news. They're thrilled to announce Labs to be the first project to launch on Mantra DAO Launchpad, hashtag Zendit, Zendit. That's coming up in just over a week, 9 days from now, on the 11th of March. You can read the full article here on labsgroupio.medium.com. Labs Group taps into Mantra DAO Launchpad as an IDO partner. Chainlink here is in the news, at Chainlink on Twitter. In partnership with UNESCO's Global Education Coalition, we're sponsoring a social impact prize at the Chainlink Virtual Hackathon to recognize devs who build universally connected smart contracts that benefit emerging markets and positively impact humanity. As with Chainlink, there's always more than just one story in the news. They're certainly on a roll lately. Fuse Network will use Chainlink proof of reserve to ensure its cross-chain stablecoin FUSD is fully collateralized. Chainlink POR will trigger FUSD minting when USDC is locked on Ethereum and provide up-to-date reference data on FUSD's collateralization. More info for both of those stories is available on medium.com. Chainlink on a nice little upswing lately, up 9% on the day to just under $30. Market cap now $12.2 billion. It very well could be by the time you're watching this video. Chainlink is above $30, but for now about $29.50. Okay, and last bit of altcoin news here. We're going to be revisiting the Kucoin Super Week. So we covered this a few days ago. In fact, about a week ago, we launched into an explanation of all the Super Week incentives, the contests that were going on, some of the prizes that were available the giveaways. A couple of those are now unfortunately behind us, but a couple are still ongoing. So we're going to alert you to what those are. KuCoin here from the 25th of February. Celebrate KCS Super Week. Hold or trade KCS, which of course is the KuCoin token, to win the lucky draw and KCS rewards. KCS pop quiz. Trade KCS using API and share a prize pool of 10,000 USDT. Lucky draw equals 1,400 KCS to be won. Trading level welfare for KCS holders. All the activity details are, of course, available here on KuCoin.com. Let's discuss a little bit more here about the KuCoin token. Again, that's KCS on altcoinbuzz.io. Fiery Super Week is live. This from a few days ago. I just want to cover it briefly before launching into more relevant or more updated news here. This article by Deepika. In their own way, to thank the loyal community, KuCoin is going to cooperate with KCS to launch a digital celebration event. Any new KCS user, holder, or trader stands to win lucky draws and KCS rewards. So just going over some of the details here, you can take a look at the activities. Some of these I just want to alert you to are expired at the time of this recording. So activity 1, which is the KCS pop quiz, and activity was actually wrapped up on the 28th of February, but you have activities 2, 3, and 4. So trade KCS in spot market, hold or trade KCS to pay the trading fee, and trading level welfare. All of these are ongoing until the 5th of March. So you have, at the time of this recording, 3 more days to participate. Again, there's a prize pool to be split, 10,000 USDT, 1,400 KCS to be won for activity number 3, and massive trading fee discounts for activity number 4. More information and details concerning activities 2, 3, and 4, including the prizes that are at stake. That information can be found here in Deepika's article. We're going to link to this, of course, in the description below. As you guys know here, none of this is financial advice, as is attested to here in our disclaimer. However, if you're asking for our subjective opinions, we do feel that KCS has, potentially a pretty bright future. When you think about the trend that we've been seeing lately with exchange tokens, again, I mentioned it the other day, probably what comes to mind for you is Binance Coin, BNB, that went, in the span of basically a year, went from like the $30, $40 range all the way to, the $300 to $350 top. Pretty unreal. And there are potentially some other undervalued exchange tokens that are out there right now. KuCoin token, KCS, may be one of them. Happens to be down a little bit today, just under $5. But you can see the trajectory here in these last 30 days. Actually rising from about $1.21 now to just under $5 and hitting an all-time high. This is back in January of 2018 of over $20. So from that perspective, and that's kind of how we analyze the potential upside for some of these projects that we feel could be major moonshots. We take a look, if they existed in the previous cycle, how do they stack up against their previous all-time high? So in this case, in the case of KCS, you're still at about a quarter of its previous all-time high set 3 years ago, January 2018. When you combine that with the current upward trajectory that we've been seeing in the last month or something, not financial advice, but potentially KCS is poised to do pretty well here. Also on altcoinbuzz.io. The KuCoin token is primed potentially for a mega rally. This article by Pratik. KuCoin's native token KCS is currently trading at 75% lower than its all-time high. And with the upcoming developments at KuCoin, it is looking good to make exponential gains in the next few weeks. Again, none of this is financial advice, but if you'd like to take a look at our projections, specifically Pratik's quantitative projections and his analysis, his predictions on where it is we could land at the height of this upcoming altcoin cycle, take a look at this article. We'll link to it in the description below. Okay, and just rapid fire now, I do want to touch on some of the positive macro news that is unfolding before us in the space. We covered major bullish news yesterday in the form of Citigroup coming out and saying that Bitcoin is basically ultimately going to become the international trade standard, which I have to imagine is probably pretty disconcerting for some investors. You think about kind of the hegemony that the US dollar has over the world. We could get into a whole discussion about the petrodollar, but I think I'm better to avoid that. But the US dollar ultimately is the global reserve standard. for Citibank to come out, I believe they're the fourth largest bank in the United States, for them to come out and say, yeah, one day it's going to be Bitcoin, like that is huge. And now you have more and more people that are, I guess, following the lead of these major banks, because ultimately their signals, are telling us that, no, it's okay. You guys should, be considering crypto. Don't be afraid to get your feet wet, kind of thing. So following the lead of banks like Citi, like JP Morgan, like Goldman Sachs, that we're going to be discussing in just a second, here you have crypto trading firm BCB Group. They've raised $4.5 million to snag more regulatory licenses. And $4.5 million isn't huge in today's day and age, but when it comes to establishing themselves from a licensing perspective, let's keep an eye on that. Here on the blockcrypto.com, CBOE files to list VanEck's Bitcoin ETF. So this is, according to JP Morgan, a pretty strong start. You have to, remember and kind of keep this in the context of what's happening in my home nation, the true north, strong and free. I'm in Canada, of course, as you guys know. We've already launched, I think it's 3 Bitcoin ETFs at this point, and they've all been seeing record volume. So for the CBOE to get behind this latest effort to support VanEck, I think all of a sudden, this has got a better shot than any previous Bitcoin ETF proposal. It's really only a matter of when. It's no longer a matter of if. Again, especially with the Canadian precedents that have been set, 3 ETFs that already exists in this country where I am in Canada. An American Bitcoin ETF is inevitable. It is only just a matter of time. Here you have, I guess, the rationale that a lot of people see, right? There have been enough cycles right now, enough bull and bear cycles for people to realize that, yeah, this Bitcoin thing really isn't going away. Case Bitcoin here. Bitcoin's 10-year compound annual growth rate, or their CAGR, is unmatched in financial history. In other words, if you take a look at the last 10 years of performance for Bitcoin and you average out the annual growth rate across those 10 years, including those years when it was negative, you still have an annual growth rate of 196.7%. Gold, by contrast, 1.97%. S&P 500, 11.2%. NASDAQ Composite, 15, let's call that 16%. Other assets, Tesla is the closest. They come the closest at 63.8%. Nothing comes close. CAGR takes an asset's ROI, that's return on investment, between 2 dates and works out the average compound annual return. And for Bitcoin, over the past decade, this works out annually to an average of 196.72%. Again, that is unmatched in any other asset class, in any other financial market. And it's not just a one-off. It's not just a one-year thing. This is a 10-year compounded average. So, of course, banks are waking up to this, and institutions, pension funds, private public institutions are also waking up to this. It also happens to fit right into the appeal of the S2F, the stock to flow model. So here on Cointelegraph.com, en route to $200,000, well, Bitcoin closed February 26% above its stock to flow model price prediction. If you're unfamiliar with stock to flow, it's basically a measure of the availability, the current availability or the stock of a given asset versus its future availability or future flows of that asset. And this is where, Bitcoin, but by extension, pretty much not all, I shouldn't say all, but many cryptocurrencies are, depreciating in value because there's built-in scarcity based on the algorithm that cannot be manipulated. There will not ever be any quantitative easing to bring it from 21 million Bitcoin to 25 or 30 million Bitcoin. No, there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. This is what makes it hard money. You may have heard that term. So stock to flow in this case is such that right now there's a current availability, a current stock, but the flow is only going to decrease as halvings and rewards go down with time. So therefore, the stock to flow, and as you can see here, this is all courtesy of Plan B at 100 trillion USD. I don't believe he invented the stock to flow model, but he mapped Bitcoin's price onto it and thus generated some quantitative predictions. So this is difficult for somebody like me. I'm actually not completely colorblind, but let's call it color challenged. So I'm going to say here on the left side, I think this is red, but you guys can laugh at me in the comments if I'm wrong. So it goes from red to orange to yellow to green to blue and violet, I think. This represents the time, the months until the next halving. So as you can see here, the stock to flow model in this space really has been one of the best predictors of price. It all comes down to the scarcity of the asset. And if you follow the color coding here, it all equates to the time left in months until the next halving. And basically you can see that any kind of major bull run seems to be precipitated by a halving event. So that's what we're seeing now, right? We had the halving in May of 2020 for Bitcoin, and it always takes some months. It takes, a few months in this case, in most cases, for the Bitcoin engine to rev up and to warm up. But then you see strong price performance as people realize, like, oh my goodness, it's going to be quite a while until the next halving, but that halving is inevitable, and it means that there's going to be fewer and fewer of these Bitcoin, these shiny newfangled Bitcoins that are going to be produced, and therefore, okay, price is going to react. It's a supply and demand equilibrium model, Economics 101. So you guys can check out this article in full if you're interested in learning more about that. But all this to say is that, these city banks of the world, the CBOE, going after the VanEck ETF, because this is all starting to click for them. It's starting to make sense. Michael Saylor here commenting on one such epiphany, in this case by Goldman Sachs. Institutional adoption of Bitcoin strengthens with the arrival of Goldman Sachs to the marketplace. This news should accelerate the plans of other major banks to offer Bitcoin services. Referring to this news from yesterday from Reuters, Goldman Sachs has restarted their cryptocurrency desk amid Bitcoin boom. It comes as no surprise. Every bank in the world is going to be involved, whether directly or indirectly, with Bitcoin, with other cryptocurrencies, and by extension, altcoins. Goldman Sachs now back in the game. Rumor is that they're also gunning for an ETF. So between them and between the CBOE, something's going to happen very soon. And, depending on what your thoughts are, you may be for or against a Bitcoin ETF. It will lead to some problems. We have to stay vigilant as always in this space. But I think irrefutably, it's what's going to lead us to a culture of mass adoption. So there you go. Read about this. We'll link to it in the description below. The take-home message is that banks, institutions, firms, both public and private, are quickly realizing that they're going to have to get a seat on this train lest they risk missing it. So let me know your thoughts about that, guys. But do be sure, as always, that you're following us on all the regular social media channels. Keep checking back into our website. It is altcoinbuzz.io. Like, subscribe, share, hit the bell to receive notifications if you enjoyed today's video. Best of luck if you choose to invest on this Tuesday. Comment below and let me know what the prices are of Bitcoin or your favorite altcoins, maybe Theta, maybe Enjin, or others at the time that you're watching this video. Do be safe, as always. We do hope to see you again soon on Hump Day in our next video. Take care.